We're back.
Carter, the Power Bryant. Good day, good sir. How are you?
Blake out in the public, shaking hands, kissing babies. Mr. Kisses Sweeter Than Tupelo Honey was in the building on Sunday. One of my favorite artists, Tim McGraw. I was like, wow. So I was a country DJ for 5 years, and I always loved Mr. Tim McGraw. Might be
You know what they said, huh? You know what the story behind that is, huh?
No, I have no idea. No, that's what I was going to ask you.
Tim McGraw apparently saw that Blake Ruffino was in town on Saturday, and he was like, well, maybe he's going to be back on Sunday. He was trying to meet me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I thought that was awesome.
It was.
That it was there, but I wish y'all could have coalesced. You there Saturday?
Oh, I would have brought him on the show and asked him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, Tim, hop on. Let's go.
I mean, listen, Carter. Here's the thing, though. Gordon McKernan got recognized on Saturday. Tim McGraw was in the building. There were a couple other big names that I saw that was there that don't want people knowing that they were there. There was a who's who. I'll tell you this. I know of a billionaire that graduated from LSU that flew in 20 boosters this weekend.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
That's good. Record-setting crowd.
You best believe that Jay was running and gunning this weekend. I mean, look, it was I don't remember. There have been massive moments at the box. This one was a little bit different. I mean, you broke the attendance record twice, and you could have broken again on Friday if the weather would have permitted. It was a massive weekend, man. None bigger than this weekend.
That Friday night game, I was trying to think of like my 3 favorite LSU baseball games. And like, you got to cut out like postseason. When it comes to regular season games,
right.
It's up there. And I still can't get over the umpire. I'm glad that what was funny was the interview that Cobble from SEC Network clipped out. Michael Cobble at WBRZ, he shared the clip. I like that Bear Jones just brought it up himself. They didn't ask him directly about it. I'm glad Bear Jones told that umpire who was boss because, man, if you hit a walk-off, let the kid enjoy it. I mean,
the only thing is like, I understand if Bear Jones would have pointed or would have bat flipped or like would have been in like their face, that would have been one thing. He's standing there. Right? Like, I mean, are we going to act like Tennessee doesn't try to do shit like that too?
Oh, dude, they're the worst culprits. I mean, and this is what I would say, and I understand I'm a big supporter of the Vols with all the stuff I do for them on Power Hour SEC. Don't care about their baseball team really at all. What I would say, though, is I do like that they are leaning into being the assholes in the SEC.
Oh, they don't care.
They lean into it because that's going to grow the game. That gets a lot of people that are kind of on the fence about watching a college baseball game. Like as you know, I don't watch every pitch of every game like you do.
I do.
Yeah.
And Carter, I've probably watched almost close to every pitch this year.
Right. This was the most of an LSU series that I watched, not just because of it being a big series, but because it's Tennessee. I like the fact that there is tension with every team. And dude, Arkansas fans hate them in baseball. Everybody does. Kentucky, I just like that in SEC baseball, these teams genuinely don't like each other. And it's cool that this happened the same weekend of the Texas A&M series where, those two programs.
Dude, think about this. That series happened, and the biggest ratings in college baseball this year, I talked to somebody at ESPN, so I went to Matuk's tailgate. And I greatly appreciate them having us. It was fantastic. I saw somebody when we were walking back, and the dude told me, he's like, bro, you do know that, like, even Friday night and even Saturday, like, is going to shatter their viewership of anything that happened this year in college baseball. Like, wow. I think that they're going to push 2 million on Saturday and close to over 1 million on Sunday.
That's crazy.
Right.
Especially considering, all the, I'm an NFL draft guy. So it's hard for me to get my eyes off the.
I would not be shocked if LSU and Tennessee. I wouldn't be shocked if they had just as many eyeballs baseball wise as what the draft did on Saturday.
Oh, I don't know.
They did. I'm telling you,
dude, that would be nuts. That would be nuts.
Watch the numbers gonna come out, and you're gonna be like, "What?"
Dude, and that's what's crazy is like, I that's why I'm very bullish on the future of college baseball, because ESPN has a real reason to push the sport. They have near autonomy.
And they got rid of Major League Baseball because of it.
Right. I do think. I mean, look, the biggest baseball game this weekend was in a college football stadium of a not real baseball game. The bananas and the animals. So there's room for a non-MLB product to continue to grow, and I'm glad LSU baseball is at the forefront of it.
All right, let's get to it. I want to go LSU stuff first before we get to Saints and Shedeur, because I think we got a lot to talk about. But Bernard Gooden, he had 35 tackles last year. Wake Forest and South Florida defensive tackle had 35 tackles, 10 tackles for loss last year. That's a lot. We need to talk on that. 1.5 sacks and 2 passes defended. He commits to LSU. He signs with LSU. It is official. Your thoughts of LSU adding Bernard Gooden?
Yeah, first off, shout out to Bernard for joining a room where there's real competition. I like the fact that, of course, there's incentives for him to come here, but he's not afraid of joining a room that has a lot of returnees, a lot of transfers that are mixed in there. So shout out to that young man for saying, look, I'm willing to compete and play for one of the biggest defensive line brands in the country. Also, behind the scenes, LSU felt a gazillion% certain that he was going to come. I mean, they did a good job recruiting the young man who had a lot of suitors. And Blake
Ole Miss was after him. Miami was after him.
Yeah. And the most important thing is he's good. He's just a good football player. It's important to know what he is and what he isn't. He's not, a Shedeur Mitchell type A-gap player. He is more of
he's the complete opposite.
Right. He's an outside the shoulder 3-tech type of playmaker. But, versus Miami, I did see him make a few plays versus double teams. In particular, later in that game, he had a few good tackles on Damian Martinez. And that might
not an easy running back to bring down either.
Right. He might be the most difficult running back for a defensive tackle to bring down because he's a freaking load.
He's 45 pounds.
So I really liked watching him. I thought the Miami game was good because that was the game versus the best competition that he played. You might disagree. I thought the best competition that he personally played was South Florida, was Bama, and he went up against Tyler Booker, and it was not pretty. Right, but that was from
2 years ago. But I mean, he was injured, he was hurt. I mean, like, I don't know how much we want to go into that. I'm not a player that's hurt that misses part of the season. I don't know how much I want to really dive into that because I don't think that's fair to the kid, right? Like, I don't think it's fair to him at all. But the Miami game, I agree with you. There was a couple of, I think, 2 tackles for a loss. A really nice game.
Yeah. And anyone could just go watch the game for yourself and come to your own conclusions. I thought it was fine. But it's also one of those things where even with him coming in, you really need either one of these 2 players to take that next step, Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley. You need one of those 2 guys because you could feel comfortable about Guillory coming in and being somewhat decent of a player, but it would be nice if one of those 2 guys steps in and becomes a next level player because they only played as true freshmen last year. And normally the biggest jumps you see from special college football players is from year 1 to year 2. Especially if you played a lot in year 1. So hopefully one of those guys can step up alongside him. And I'm excited that there's more competition in that room to push Kyle Williams in this defensive tackle room to being one of the better ones in the SEC.
They got a lot of this is what I think about the DT room with him. Now, there's two things that I wanted to say before you came on here. I'll just say it here because we were unable to get to the segment. I hope that people don't look at him as the savior of the DT room. I think that it would be very easy to say, we're bringing this kid in. We really need him to explode, right? Like, we need him to take a massive leap. Like those 10.5 tackles for loss that he had a year ago, we need that. Now, the thing is that I'm not sure that he's going to get that as many reps to be able to get that chance.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is why I like the move. I like the move because, Carter, you and I have talked about, and we've basically said, and I had thought, look, they're going to go after a defensive tackle whether you like it or not. I mean, I would rather have looked at Murad Watson a little bit closer and gotten into those sweepstakes. If you miss, you miss. I don't hate this move with Bernard. The thing that is so intriguing with me is I don't know who your starting DTs are, if you even have two that are set. I think he can come in here and compete, and quite frankly, of all of the defensive line room, the edge or DTs, Carter, I still think it's all up in the air because you had 4 edges that you rotated in with the ones. I don't think outside of Shedeur Mitchell, who's not a 3-down player, I don't think that you have starters there. I think he can come in, and if he competes, then he can win that job. But you also have a lot of depth and talent. Now, Dylan Battle left. He's in the portal. It is what it is. The kid came. I don't hate look, Dylan Battle came to play for Bo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bo's not here. It's not fair to that kid. So I don't know what I get from Bernard Gooden. The 10.5 tackles for loss really intrigue me. Can you do that in SEC play will be the big deal. And see, here's the thing, Carter, that I throw your way. The problem that LSU did have a year ago and what they've had in the entirety of the Brian Kelly era is that per SEC loss, they're giving up 250 yards on the ground. The dude's 6'1", 280. And when you say stuff like that, you do get Shedeur Mitchell and you get him. Is he going to be able to give you those good reps when teams have all they've really done is just line up and run against you? That would be the question that we will see come August. But when you see him as the biggest issue that you've had is run defense, have you seen enough of him to say that maybe he can give you some good reps there too?
Yeah, I hope so. And he is, kind of like Braylon Moore on the other side of the ball. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's more of a speed, finesse type of player.
He's Mekhi Wingo.
Yeah, and I would hope he's that good. I doubt he will be that good.
I agree. But size, what you're trying to do is right. What you're trying to fit.
And honestly, Blake, this, we tend to focus so much on like the individual players. There's also a philosophical aspect of this as well, where it's not just who you have out there, it's what you're instructing them to do. So my favorite position on the planet Earth in any sport is defensive tackle. It's a position I played. I love it. Love all the intricacies of it. Love all the different stunts, all the different things you can do. The bottom line isn't that LSU has been a rush defense that's been bad. They have been a rush defense that's been bad in terms of making life easier on the opposing team.
That's right.
And what that means is it's not that they're running through us. It's that we are giving them the yards. You can go back and look at so many of the different runs where guys are just running through A's and B's and C gaps untouched with no slowdown.
Well, and to your point there, I mean, the reason I say 6'1", 285, whatever he is, the reason those are happening is because there are double teams that are happening on your defensive tackles and they're getting obliterated.
Yes. And then what can happen and make matters worse is when they're getting obliterated, they'll just get out of their gaps completely. Some of that is what they're being instructed to do. Some of that is the defensive calls. Some of that is on their own volition, getting out of their gaps. And there's some stats to back that up where LSU was just as bad as the Matt House defense, Blake, in rush yards before contact, which basically means how many yards is the rusher getting before he's actually getting touched. And
Mhm.
this can be, you don't need to know X's and O's to know this, okay? You can be Joe Schmo, never played it down in your life, okay? Go watch the runs that LSU gave up last year. And on the explosive runs, how many were there runs where guys were getting through the first and second level of the defense untouched? Okay?
South Carolina. End of story. End of tape.
Right. South Carolina, Alabama, Florida there at the end.
Tennessee 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
You just can't. You can't let that. You just can't let that happen.
I mean, A&M twice.
A&M
in 22 and A&M in 24.
Right. Sometimes playing defense is just making life a little bit more
difficult.
Right. So Ole Miss had a long touchdown.
Ole Miss.
It's you've got to get better at rush yards before contact. So yes, it is nice to have another body in there, but philosophically, we need to play more sound up the middle.
All right, we have a super chat here from our good friend Jackie Harris with a $2 super chat. It says Haulcy could be that star on the LSU Christmas tree. I'm going to say this. I've seen and people have sent to me because we were at the game on Saturday. There was a report from an LSU LSU site that talked about the Haulcy thing. So being at the game, tailgating on Saturday, I didn't see anything. My phone was away. I didn't tweet, talk to anybody, really, until the game started. And I saw that a lot of people were talking about that this might not be NIL related. Bullshit. AJ Haulcy got some – like this is NIL related. LSU being in the mix, which I warned you that they were talking to safeties, and nobody just wanted to put two and two together. The kids in a visit in Miami. All right. Like if he walks away and he doesn't commit, that tells you that LSU is going to put the money where their mouth is. Carter, they need him. Now, me and you had a conversation last week about this. How about this? We got a defensive tackle, and we're looking to get a kid in AJ Haulcy that I think would start here, if I'm just being blunt. Oh. The problem is that your offense in 14 drives still in 11 on 11 still didn't score. So we keep talking about this. We keep talking about this, but I went back through all my practice film. Y'all saw it at the spring game. They didn't score when it was 11-11. Outside of me putting the ball at the 2-yard line, you didn't score. So there also comes a part where I do think you could need this kid. Okay, I see the narrative out there that this isn't money related. Bullshit, it's not money related. You don't you dare tell a fan base that it's not money related. It is. Here's some sourcing for your ass. I don't do it like I used to do it like that. Here's some sourcing. Bullshit. It's about money. So if he leaves Miami and he doesn't commit, it's because you putting your money where your mouth is. Now, I do think that LSU, for what it's worth, they're trying to stay in the mix of this. But they were kind of taken back when the kid came out and said, I want X amount of money. And he didn't come to LSU. He didn't give a visit. He gave to Miami because Miami didn't blink. Now LSU wants to get back in the mix of it. So I look at AJ Haulcy, Carter. I mean, I think they need the kid. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kick it over to you.
No.
I think they're gonna throw shit at the wall at safety. And look, if you pay it, you pay it. But why wouldn't you try to do everything you could?
Blake, I agree. I think you just need to fork it over. Now, once again, I'm not Austin Thomas. Congrats on Austin Thomas.
Yeah, big raise. And he deserves it. Look.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
He deserves every penny.
Yeah. I will say that the LSU is very confident in their defense right now.
Very.
I spoke to one of the transfers, someone in their orbit. I didn't speak to him directly, they're feeling great about where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was like, be honest. And like, no, what Brian Kelly said is how they feel. Okay. Now that's a good thing if you're a confident bunch. Obviously, you and I would disagree with that, in particular at safety. I agree with you, but like I would get someone who's played and started full seasons at safety. He does a little bit of everything, picks a ball off sideline to sideline, a thicker safety, if you will. But a true free safety. I would love him to join this room. And I go back to what if LSU, and this is just theoretical, all right? Andrew Makuba was in the transfer portal last year.
Oh, God.
Andrew Makuba.
You know how I feel about him.
Okay. And now, once again, I'm not talking about Caleb Downs, who was the best transfer and the best safety in the country. There was a lot of good safeties in the portal last year.
No doubt.
And I keep going back to, I think Makuba is a difference in one victory for you last year. I really do think he would have been that big of a needle mover.
Makuba ain't letting that Florida run that won the game. It ain't happening.
Right. And Texas paid him with him knowing that he might not have started. You know, Derek Williams went down, and that opened up that many more snaps for him. And he gets drafted in the second round of the Philadelphia Eagles. That one player moves the needle for you, I feel, by that much. Now, I know a lot of fans would say, well, Carter, it's just one win. I was like, there's only 12 games you play every season, right? I think LSU wins at least one extra game if they would have gotten him. And
I think you win I think he's such a difference maker based off of what we saw at Texas. Carter, if we're just going to call a spade, he could single-handedly almost damn near come close to helping you win against USC. People forget he picked off Sam Leavitt to win the playoff game against Arizona State. He was the one that had the pick. So, to your point, though, Makuba would come down in the box and light your ass up. That's another thing that LSU's been missing. Name a time that a safety would come down and run game and knock your block off. There is nobody on this team right now that has shown that they will come down in the box and light your ass up. And quite frankly, that is what defense is. Do you remember who was with God, dog, Sunday Night Lights or Sunday Night whatever it was? What was his name?
Oh, come on. The Swamp, baby. The Swamp.
I know, but it's
the Swamp. You got to know that you can't bring up a Swamp.
I know.
All he does is go to the Zurich Classic every year. And
who was the guy that was with him?
It was Chris Berman and
Chris
Tom
Berman.
Jackson.
Who was
Tom Jackson? Tom
Jackson.
Yes.
You remember the great quote by Tom Jackson that said, "If you play defense, the way that you play defense is you risk your body to like hurt the other opponent."
Yeah.
We don't have that.
You got a kamikaze. No business.
100%, 1,000%. They got to find that. So I don't know if Haulcy's here, but we'll see. All right, last thing before we get you out of here, because I got to roll. Shedeur Sanders falls.
Like, I have never, in my life, seen more collective outrage over an individual than Shedeur Sanders. I see so many people trying to turn this into something that it's not.
I mean, Ryan Clark said it was because he was black.
Oh my God! Is there real?
Who was the number one pick?
Cam Ward.
What is
he? I would guess he's black. I would guess. I would guess.
I mean, come on. The first quarterback selected last year, the second overall pick last year. Like, this has nothing to do with that, brother.
Yeah. And is there still like some racism at the quarterback position? Maybe
maybe some.
Maybe at the lower levels. But I don't see it. And in particular with Shedeur, what makes it so fascinating was NFL teams are big on culture. You hear that all the time, culture. When Shedeur in interviews and his own dad was saying, "Hey, we're going to dictate where we go. We're going to go in and reset the culture." I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And you didn't work out in any of the camps, Shrine Bowls, Senior Bowls, Bowls. You didn't do any of it. Okay. And then you're not that good. I don't think people quite grasp that Shedeur was obviously a fine college quarterback. He should have been drafted higher than what he was drafted.
I agree with that. I agree.
But you know, Blake, I did an NFL video based on his first year Colorado tape. I was like, I wouldn't draft him at all. And then this past year was better, but like he takes such bad sacks, like 12-yard sacks. Not a plus athlete. if you're one of those guys that doesn't play on time all the time, which is, his game, you better make up for it in other ways. And he doesn't. Okay. So outside of everything else that was around him, it's nuts to me that people had this collective outrage. Now, that doesn't absolve the New Orleans Saints for taking Tyler Shuck in the second round. That doesn't absolve, all these other quarterbacks in this draft class. Blake, I honestly thought Cam Ward was the only quarterback that I would have spent a top 3 round pick on.
I didn't necessarily disagree with you there. I will say the outrage on Tyler Shuck is this is what I say about NFL draft people. Thank you for confirming to me that you don't really watch.
Oh, so you like Shuck?
I'm not going to go say that I like him.
Okay.
However, shit, that mother trucker made some throws, some big time throw. Carter, he's the second fastest quarterback in this draft class per time. He beat Jackson Dart, he beat all of them. Go watch the Notre Dame film.
Dude,
he made some brother. And listen, both of his top wide receivers who got drafted, gone. 3 offensive linemen in that game, gone. He had one of the best freshman running backs in the country. He got nicked up. And quite frankly, Notre Dame is about to get tied up on again because he made an absolutely, by the way, got targeted. I don't mind the injury thing because a collarbone's a collarbone and a leg is a leg. He got rolled up on. It was nasty. He's one of the best throwers in this draft. I don't mind it, but I don't know if I'd go a second round pick on him.
I
don't know if I go second round. I understand what you're saying. I don't know if I go there. So
I will say any quarterback that beats Clemson in Clemson has my respect and
made some serious throws. He outdueled Cade Klubnik.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad. I like drafting.
I would have taken him in the 3rd. He would have been there.
Oh, I don't know.
After him, name the quarterback that got selected.
Okay. Do you think the Browns would have taken Dylan Gabriel over Tyler Shuck?
No, but that was what. No, I don't know that.
Yeah, I think the Browns would have taken Shuck over Dylan Gabriel.
Look, I heard that Jimmy. Last thing, I do got to go. I heard Jimmy Haslam was the one that told him to do it.
It's the only thing that makes sense,
right?
Because their draft plan made no sense. That makes none of what they did would make sense.
The only time that I've ever seen this happen was the RG3 Kirk Cousins thing, but this is.
It's also
right. Completely different. Yeah, completely different. All right, buddy.